Good morning everyone and welcome to this PGA introductory webinar. My name is Michael Abbott and I'm the Member Education Executive here at the PGA. It is my pleasure today to introduce our speaker for this session, Karl Morris. Karl, are you there?
Yes, good morning Michael, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. How about yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well indeed.
Good. Just to give you all a little bit of background information about Karl. He was the Head of Business Development for the Royal Bank of Scotland. He left this role in 2001 to form KRL Consulting, and for the past 12 years, Karl and his associates have been delivering coaching and training to clients including Barclays, EasyJet, and Formula One. Karl is also the founder and managing director of the Lee Westwood Golf School and the Darren Clark Golf School, and they are now the largest provider of golf education within the UK. As part of that setup, Karl manages a number of PGA professionals, and it's really just going to emphasise why he is so well placed to fully understand the challenges that face both employers and employees within the golf industry. Karl is here today to talk about his seminar, Essential Business Skills for Today's PGA Professional, which is part of our member education programme here at the PGA, and hopefully he can give us all a better idea of what will be covered on that course. So Karl, over to you.
Yes, good morning Michael. Thanks for the introduction, very nice indeed. This was a course that we ran this year at the Belfry. It was very well received. It was a really quite interactive one-day programme, and now of course we are looking to run another one in January, and it's a course that I think suits very well your PGA Pro, your Assistant Pro, and very much so in light of the economic conditions and how we're finding ourselves at the moment in the UK golf industry. For me, the course is primarily around taking what you've already got and in some respects looking at it in a different way. The wonderful thing that I have, of course, Michael, is objectivity. I have the ability to listen to what you're telling me, to look at the business that you have in hand, and then make a judgment based on that information as to how best enhance what you've got, or perhaps introduce new things that will make it better. And if you look at what we've done with our own business over certainly the last 3 years, we've certainly with the Westwood brand, we've grown that dramatically to a point where it's become the largest in Europe by student number, and now is going into other countries as we speak. We're already in America. So we've proved we can do it. We now want to help PGA pros and assistant pros and club managers and staff within the industry to understand how better to do it to their own business. I always start with this slide, and it's something that I think we've all suffered from, and that's of course what I call the insanity slide. This was Einstein's theory, and he was a fairly well learned chap, so I have to agree with him that as human beings, we keep doing the same thing, yet we expect different results. And I think that's true of everything in life, whether it's business, whether it's personal. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work, because what we know about life is that if we do the same thing, funnily enough, we get the same results. Industry wants us to get different results. No doubt our club wants us to get different results. No doubt we ourselves want to get different results. When we go out from the very basis of being a PGA Pro, when we go out sometimes to practice or to shoot around on a golf course, we want to get a better score. We want to enhance our yardage. We want to get better at our skill set and at our chipping and our putting. And the important thing to do is work out how we're going to get better at that. And by doing exactly the same thing isn't always the answer. We'll come back to this slide. I guarantee we'll come back to this slide. Perception versus reality. There's a constant saying there which we can always look back to, which is, my perception is my reality. And what I want you to think about is your own customers and non-customers. I want you to imagine your customers viewing you and your business, but then almost I want you to imagine your non-customers viewing you and viewing your business. What do they see? What do they actually see? Do they see a PGA Pro that's got something about them that's different, that's going to help them make their golf more enjoyable, that's going to make them better at golf, that's going to allow them perhaps to win the company challenge that's coming up, or help them to have a better corporate day that they're going on? Or is it a PGA pro that's not going to do those things? Is it a PGA pro that perhaps is much the same as every other PGA pro? Not very, is it someone that's not very proactive? Is it someone that's hidden behind the scenes? What are they seeing? Because whatever they see, they'll make as their truth. They'll see it as my perception is my reality. So the person they see is the person that they will always see. Unless, funnily enough, we go back to, do we change what we do? Do we get different results? Do we put the perception out there as slightly different? And therefore the customer will see that perception versus reality being different. When we ran this course in 2012, these were some of the statistics that were floating around the economy. Reduction, figures at their lowest for 15 years. The word downgrade, more clubs closing, which is an awful position to be in. And membership vacancy numbers were the largest since 2002. And my nice little face there sums it up. It was a bit of doom and gloom. And it was uncertainty. There was this degree of uncertainty. The government, nobody could help us. It was uncertain. Are we going to get more clients tomorrow? Are we going to get less clients? Are people going to spend money on golf? Or are they going to spend less money on golf? If we fast forward now, these figures are recent, very recent figures. We've got words such as growth forecast. We've got upgrades. We've got consumer spending is growing. We've got the economy is growing. We've got golf club numbers are increasing across Europe, and registered players are growing for the first time since 2011. And we've got a smiley face out there. If we flick back now to a slide, the perception versus the reality, well, the perception versus the reality of the UK golfer at the moment is that it's getting better. Yes, we're heading into winter. We've had a horrible winter last year that pretty much closed everything down for 2 to 3 months. But we accept that. We accept winter's coming, but we're going into winter in a better position. We're going in with a better economy. We're going in with a better mindset. And our customers will be expecting a little bit more. And therefore, we've got to do things slightly differently to make sure that our customers' expectations are met. The economy is getting better. The infrastructure is getting better. So if we look at this, if this were a building, we've got the basics right. We've got the foundations of good to head into 2014. And we're heading into 2014 in a strong way. We've got some good things behind us. And now we've got to make sure we prepare ourselves. We've got to prepare ourselves. The greenkeepers will be working on the golf course. No doubt the maintenance crew will be working on the golf club. But what are you doing to prepare yourself? As a PGA pro, as a golfer, what are you doing to prepare everything for yourself? And that's where it's all about spotting those opportunities. This is something called the Ansoff Matrix. It's a business modelling tool, but it's fantastic for looking at what we do as PGA professionals and what we do as assistants and clubs. If we look at it, there's two basic sides to this, which are products and markets. And if you look at the purple or mauve square, which is called market penetration, that's all about selling existing products to your existing market. If we then go right across to the green square, which is diversification, that's about putting new products into new markets. Slightly riskier, slightly a longer term strategy, but for some products it's absolutely right, especially if you're introducing something new to a market that you've had feedback is going to be taking off. So if you look at those two extremes, you've got existing products into existing markets, which just means doing more lessons to your customers, perhaps doing a little bit more video to your customers, or suddenly you're going into this diversification, which is a new product to a new market. That's the difference in what we've got there, certainly from that point of view. The other two areas there are product development and market development. Now that's all about putting in a new product into an existing market, or it's about putting a new or existing product into a new market. Slightly different. One is about developing the market, one is about developing the product. And I'm sure you can see those two areas there. I then wanted just to think about actually the customer themselves. What's the customer actually asking, and perhaps the customer's asking, what's in it for me? Was it worth it? Was it actually worth it? The money and the expense that I've put into that, was it actually worth it? The time, the money, and the quality of the coaching or the experience. I'm going to take you back to a slide now, which of course was perception versus reality. What happens with that is that the customer can't actually really make out whether that was worth it or not. Was the perception versus the reality? Was the product that I spent on, was it worth it? So I go back to this. The customer's going to say, was it worth it? It's our job as a PGA professional, it's our job at the club to make sure, yes, it was worth it. To make sure that, yes, the time and the money and the quality was worth it. And that I actually enjoyed it so much, I'm going to come back again. Adversely, of course, on the flip side of that, the answer might be no, it wasn't worth it. Because my perception was that it wasn't worth it. My perception was that it wasn't anything different. My perception was it wasn't worth the extra expenditure. And that, of course, is then where we have to go back to, I'm sorry to take you back again, but we go back to this wonderful slide, which is insanity, doing the same thing, yet expecting different results. If we continue to do the same thing, and we continue to allow our customers and non-customers to think all we are is we can do the one thing, we're what's called in inverted commas a one-trick pony, then of course they're only going to think we can get the same results, and what they might do, their perception is I might as well go somewhere else. And then of course, was it worth it? The answer has to be no. Where are you positioned? And I wanted to use this slide. I like this slide. It's a very interesting slide. Where are you positioned, and was it worth it for you? And the answer there is the concept of commodity versus low cost, as opposed to are you different opposed to high cost. If you took the top right quadrant, the top right square, you would find a company like Jaguar Land Rover in there at the moment. They are high cost. A Range Rover will cost anything from £70,000 up to £120,000 and more. Yes, they are different. A Range Rover is a different vehicle. It's a luxury 4x4. It's a 4x4 vehicle with the luxury of a Rolls Royce. So yes, it's different. Yes, it's high cost. What's happening at the moment with Jaguar Land Rover? They're increasing jobs. They're increasing production. They can't cope with demand. In fact, I was quoted by someone the other day that was someone in the car industry that was telling me that the new Range Rover Sport is something like almost going up to a year's waiting list already, and it's only been put out on the market a month ago. Now, if you go to the bottom quadrant, the commodity and low cost, that's the very bottom left quadrant or square, we'd put someone in there like Aldi, the low-cost supermarket. Aldi, just as a statistic, Aldi doubled their UK sales in 2012. Now think about it, this is the same recession everyone's sitting in, it's the same economic tough times that everyone's got, but they doubled their sales. So they're completely the other end of the spectrum to Jaguar Land Rover, who also increased their sales. The problem in this market right now, the problem we have right now, is for those people who sit right in the middle of that cross. It's the companies that really haven't got anything that's different, that haven't got anything that's low cost, that haven't got anything that's particular high cost, but actually are just sitting in the middle. Someone at a conference said to me a couple of days ago, is that where all the UK golf clubs are? Are all the UK golf clubs sitting somewhere right in the middle there? And that was a really interesting question to pose. And it's something that I want us all to think about, and that's where, if we work together, if you come along to the PGA course that we're running, that's where we can work together and make sure we're not sitting in the middle. Tesco are sitting in the middle, and Tesco have seen a horrific fall across their global countries. They've seen a horrific fall across all of their business because they're not different. They're neither low cost, they're neither high cost, they're neither specialised, they'll either non-specialised. They're just someone in the middle who's carried on doing much the same as they've always done. And that's why down the bottom there, again, I've had a lot of pros will say to me, shall I just reduce my hourly rate, or shall I just increase my hourly rate? And that will increase my sales. No, it won't. Just doing that one thing alone won't do that. And I met some guys earlier in the year who had reduced their sales and actually ended up, reduced their costs, sorry, and actually ended up reducing their sales, which was the worst position to be in, because actually not only have you lost money, you've now lost sales, and there's nowhere to climb back from there. We've got to think about what is it we do differently and how we can get the client to see that we do it differently. And that goes back, funny enough, all the way back, which is we can't keep doing the same thing. The perception versus the reality has to be changed. We have to give thought to what we're doing at the moment. And I'm not saying we've got to change just for the purpose of change. What I'm saying is we've got to understand our market a great deal better to decide what the market wants, because the market will tell us what it wants. When we know that, then we can decide where we sit on that quadrant. Overall then, this is a well-timed course. It sets everyone up well for 2014. We're running it early in 2014. It will give you a great start to the year. We're specifically running it at a quiet period of time. I would advise all guys that are out there and girls that are out there right now that want to really push themselves forward and get a great start to 2014, come along, join in the course for the day, and we'll make sure you'll go away with some great ideas, some great hints and tips, and certainly some really good motivation to get the year started. That's the presentation for you, Michael. Do you have any questions at this point?
Yeah, I've got a few, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned this kind of need to, I used a quote from Einstein, but this need to kind of change, customers' perceptions. And obviously this kind of quadrant there you just showed us explained where pros need to decide where they sit on that. But if they attend your course, what will they believe being able to actually do? I know you said at the end a few hints and tips, but what exactly can you give us an idea of what they'll be able to leave to implement after that?
Yes, sure. The first thing, Michael, is that we get a good understanding of where we are. And for me, it's very difficult in isolation. When you're a golf pro sitting at a golf club, you're on your own, you're not always got the ability to have a look into what the person down the road's doing or what's happening down there. You're trying on a daily basis to keep your business going, you're paying the bills, you're managing your work-life balance. It's very difficult to get sometimes what best practice is. What anyone that comes on the course will get from it is, first and foremost, we will look at what you've currently got. We'll look at what you've currently got and say, okay, what can we do best to get the best out of what you've currently got, but also look at ways of learning about your market in your specific area and how we can do things better, how you can make more revenue, how you can generate more sales, how you can generate more interest in what you do. And that's the important thing out of this. It's that people will have, I guess, inertia to get going, and we'll send them away with that inertia to understand something, because otherwise doing nothing is not an option. If you sit there, and that goes back to that insanity clause, if you sit there, you're just going to get the same results.
Okay, well, and that kind of leads into my next question then, which is, do you think then, with what you just said there, is this course relevant to all PGA professionals? I think there's probably, and you probably agree, there's an extent that a lot of pros, a lot of PGA professionals think that coaching is not business, when we all know that it is exactly that. Do you think any PGA professional, no matter what their role, should come along to this course?
I do, yeah, I do, and I genuinely do, because over the years that I've been working in this industry, and not just in the golf industry, everyone will take something from this. Everyone will get something that will allow them to go back to their own job and say, I've just had an objective view of what I'm doing. And I always ask that question, why would you not want to make your job better? Why would you not want to actually make yourself more money or potentially have an easier time at work? Therefore, why would you not want to come to the course and listen and learn? And I understand there's an expense. I understand that people have got to travel for the day, and that's why we're running it at a very sort of low part of the year, when it's off peak. But this gives people the chance to really take something away, and I think that's from everything. Whether you're new into being a PGA pro, whether you're an assistant, whether you're a club manager, whether you've been in the industry for years, which sometimes I think is a better way because you do get ingrained into a certain way of working. And I think the proof is in the pudding, as I always say, Michael, which is we've come into a business and an industry, and we've shaped it, and we've turned it round, and we grew our business by over 30% last year, in a time when a lot of businesses were losing 30% or losing 50%. And it's about doing what golf pros love best, which is going out there and inspiring people to get into the game and inspiring people to love the game. And I think this is what this does. Absolutely.
Well, Karl, thank you for joining us today and giving a really good overview as to what the course is about. On behalf of all the PGA members who are going to view this, we really do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you here in January. It's the 17th, isn't it?
Yes, it's January the 17th. Yeah, it's great timing. We'll all have got Christmas and New Year well and truly out the way, and then we can get down to the business of doing business. And that was a very snippet of what we're going to do, but the day's got a lot more involved. There's a lot more in there and a lot more content in there. Everyone gets a workbook on the day, and everyone gets sent away with something to do. It's about action. It's about taking action and doing something.
Absolutely. Well, Karl, yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. If I can just point out, PGA members are watching this on YouTube. If you do want to see this, just go to the About section below, and you'll see a link there. If you click on that, that'll take you through to the PGA website where you can book on to the course. Karl, is there anything else you want to add before we end the webinar?
Not at all. Thank you very much. And I guess it's getting near to that point where we have to start wishing everyone a happy Christmas. Have a great one, Michael. Thanks for your time, and as always, thanks to the PGA.
Absolutely. Cheers, Karl. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.